Hi guys, hope you all had a lovely weekend. We joined this week in our last week of the Explorer with the children just coming back from their trip with the Explorer to Nightfish. Every day this week I'm going to read you 2 chapters because they are quite short towards the end, and then we can get to find out everything that's happened to our Explorer and our group. And the first chapter today is called The Vow. Nobody wanted to sleep that night. They sat over the fire cooking the fish until it spat and sizzled. Fred explained to Lila and Con about the canopy and the man working every day to protect the great green secret at the heart of the jungle. "We should do something," said Con, "to prove to him that we won't tell." "Do you think he doesn't believe us?" asked Lila. Bacca lay snoring in her lap with Max curled up on her foot, his eyes closed. "It's not that exactly, but I think he's not easily believing," said Con. "I like that idea," said Fred. "What would we do?" "We could swear," said Lila. "We could make a blood vow like they do in the books." "I want something more permanent than that," said Con, and she looked up at the roof through which the stars shone, silver woven through the green. "I want something bigger, something that will last forever." "I know." Lila sat up straighter, jerking Bacca awake. "We could make a mark, like a tattoo." "We don't have any ink," said Fred. "But the Explorer does," said Con. "I saw it when I was collecting wood. He said he keeps his most precious things he doesn't want stolen under his hammock while he sleeps." There was a pause. Then Fred said, "Well, if he doesn't want his ink stolen, I don't know if I want to try stealing them. He sleeps with a knife." Excitement seemed to have made Con bold. "I'll do it." Even Bacca looked surprised. "Con," said Lila, "are you crazy?" But she was already up and running across the square on her tiptoes, half bent over and muttering warnings to herself as she went. Fred and Lila exchanged startled glances. Con returned 5 minutes later, bearing the ink aloft. "I did it," she said. "You stole it?" asked Lila, her voice full of admiration. "Yes," said Con, flushed with victory in the light of the fire. "Then, sort of." "Sort of," said Fred. "Well, he was sort of awake, and he sort of said we could borrow it. He said it was precious, and if we spill it, he'll put snakes in our hair. But I would have stolen it if I had to." Fred grinned. "What shall we tattoo then?" "We could write 'I swear,'" said Lila. "Too complicated. It would give us too many chances to go wrong," said Con. "Or an X," said Fred, "like one on a map." "I like that," said Lila, and Con nodded, and she sharpened the tip of the penknife with a flint. Lila burnt the tip in the flames of the fire to sterilise it. "Who wants to go first?" said Lila. There was a silence sharpened by the knife in Lila's hand. "I'll do it," said Fred. He tried not to let his hand shake. It was harder than he'd expected to cut his own skin. He dug down, wincing sharply, and cut a line thin into the base of his thumb where it met his palm. "Does it hurt?" asked Con anxiously. "A bit," said Fred, and his voice was coming out tight. "But not compared to everything else." He added a second line and dabbed away in the blood. "Do you think they put the ink in the ink?" "I think they just drop it in now," said Lila. The ink stung, and Fred bit his teeth together, but Con and Lila were both tactfully looking away. "There," he said, and he held it up to the firelight, a small X marked in ink and blood. Lila went next. She winced when the ink was added, but said nothing. Con took longer over hers, making sure the lines of the X were perfectly straight. "If it's going to be forever," she said as she rubbed in the ink. "I don't want it to be wonky." Max suddenly jerked upright. "I want one," he said. "Max, I thought you were asleep," said Lila. "I was pretending." "Shh, Maxie, go to sleep." "I want one. I want to do the secret swear." "No," said Lila, "absolutely not. It hurts and you'll cry, and the Explorer will wake up, and anyway, Mama and Papa will kill me." "I won't cry." "You would," said Con. "But it's my secret too," said Max, "and if you want me to keep it, you have to let me." The others looked at each other and Lila sighed. Max did cry, but he tried very hard not to. Lila, the knife, and Max screwed up his eyes and bit his lips together and drummed his feet on the ground. And though his tears trickled down his face as Lila added the ink to his hand, he didn't yell. "Shall we swear?" said Con. "What shall we say?" "You do it," Fred said to Lila. "You're the oldest." Fred grinned, half embarrassed. "We swear," he began. "Just a second." Con threw an armful of kindling on the fire and it roared up towards the sky. "Okay, go." We swear to keep this place a secret, said Fred, until it's safe to tell the world about it, or until we die, whichever comes first. I swear, said Con solemnly. Then, though statistically we're more likely to die before we get a chance to tell anyone we know, but she was smiling. I swear, said Lila. Always. Swear, echoed Max. It's my city, and he looked proudly down at his ex. Nobody gets to share it with us. Con looked at Lila and Lila looked at Fred. The three of them grinned at one another over Max's head. And our next chapter is called Explorer School. This will probably run over into 2 extracts. The next day was Thursday, a full 12 days since the crash. Fred was woken from a nightmare about a burning aeroplane by the vulture pecking at the back of his head, and he sat up. Hey, he said. The vulture looked at him, an irate glare of disdain for the slack of a world that had failed it. Heel, came a voice from outside, followed by a whistle. The vulture waddled out of the stone room followed Fred. Good boy, the explorer said to the vulture, tussling its naked red head as if it were a dog. The fire outside the stone room had already been lit. Wait the others, said the explorer. It's only just sunrise, said Fred dubiously. Max sometimes threatens to pee on me if I wake him too early. Wake him anyway. If he chooses to weaponise his urine, so be it. I've been watching you all, and there are some basic techniques for survival that you don't know. I'll be working late today, and you'll need to listen now. He glanced down at Fred's palm and saw the mark. He said nothing, but it was possible, Fred thought, that the left side of his face smiled just an inch. Come on, hurry. Explorer School is in session. The others emerged, rubbing their eyes, and the explorer handed out a piece of meat from a gourd cut into a serving bowl. To get home, you'll need to know both the river and the land. Tell me what you know. It's hard to say what the meat was. A bird, Fred thought, though it might have been a fish. He ate as slowly as he could, chewing each piece until it turned to pulp in his mouth. We already know the river quite well, said Con proudly. We came on a raft. Describe it. Fred made it, said Con, and she grinned at him. Her cheek was covered in mosquito bites, but her smile was broad. Fred was fanatical about it. What did you use? The explorer asked Fred. Fred described it as best he could. He tried not to sound too proud of it. Sounds a good design, said the explorer, and Fred felt his face burn hot with pleasure. I came along the Negra by the raft from Manius on one of my first expeditions. I used a similar model, not as good as the dugout canoe, but quicker to make. What was the expedition looking for? Asked Fred. Various things. Some of the men were looking for a city, others for plants, for new medicines. I was just hungry to see the world. We were naive, clumsy. 2 men died, but I loved it. The explorer began sketching a map in the dust. You come this way around the edge of the rapids by Dead Man's Point and north. Water leaping up into your face. The raft trying to ride the waves the way that you would a horse, and me trying to make sure the bamboo rod I used to steer didn't jerk and impale me through the ribs. Some of the happiest days of my life. He handed out more meat. Max's eyes widened in appeal and was given double. Con opened her mouth to object and then closed it again. You'll have to do part of the same journey I made before you reach the city. It's choppy, foam and rocks. You can get thrown up several feet in the air, so you'll have to tie the little one on. If anyone falls overboard, they can't grab onto the raft in those waters without capsizing it. Really, said Lila. But couldn't you? No, he said sternly. The only